Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Wow. Good to see everybody. Let's see. Hello, Chatty Cathy, Roxanne. Woohoo! Roxanne's here. We can get the party started. The regulars are here. Hi, Bluebell. Zama. What a beautiful name. Zamal Robinson. Beautiful. Bluebell. Hello. Great. Game Diva. Alexandra. Hello. Knowing Young, all plus our delightful Whimsy. Oh, I like that, Knowing Young. What a nice name. Kathy, good. We've got Kathy here as a moderator, and we give her gratitude for offering to do that. So the first thing I want to do with everybody is just check in and see how everybody is doing. I have to say personally that last night's meditation is probably the most negative, dark, depressing meditation I've ever done. It was not okay. And so I guess we can talk about that. We'll also throw cards today. We're going to go ahead and take notes for people. Sometimes I have to go to places that are kind of negative, and that's kind of what happened last night. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Yvette, Angela. Hello, Tiger, Diane. Hello from the UK. So does anybody have any? Sandra's angry. Okay, Sandra, we can talk about that. Several mediums reported dark entities with Epstein. One of the things that I said last night regarding that this is a really dark subject. Probably the darkest subject you can go into, which is human slavery. And so there's really you can put yourself in white light, you can meditate, you can send love, but hurting children, this is really a dark subject. And for the person for the person who goes in and does the remote or the tarot reading or the astrology, whatever system you're using, it's very easy to fall into people. There's no easy way to do this kind of work, and so I don't know what to tell people. It's going in, I used the word NATO. I stand corrected. That's not what I wanted to say regarding Epstein. I wouldn't call it NATO. It was really more that it looked like he was procuring things for people in positions of power for Western countries or countries that are part, look like Saudi Arabia, Israel, the United States. And his activities were known to the American, British, Israeli, and Saudi Arabian governments. That's what it looked like. In plain words, they pretty much let him do whatever he wanted with impunity because he was collecting information. So if he was working for the West, then that would suggest, if you're putting the dots together, if he was working for the West and they were letting him do what he was doing, then they were probably looking at international money laundering schemes. And he was probably supplying information, and the money laundering involved probably drugs, human trafficking, real estate, possibly weapons. And it appears from what I'm seeing that Epstein was an informant for the West, and so was Ghislaine Maxwell. But if you're asking what the energy of Ghislaine Maxwell was, when I meditated on that, she said that ultimately she was the one that betrayed Epstein. That's how I heard it. We'll just see if that's accurate. She's now in hiding. Nobody can find her. If she was an informant for British intelligence, Israel, the Americans, and if her job was to procure whatever people in positions of power needed or wanted, which is what came through in the remote, then she would have thrown herself on the mercy of her benefactors. That's basically what it looked like. She threw herself at the mercy of her benefactors, one of whom was the Queen's son. Ugh. Like I said, there's no nice way to do this. Okay, let me go ahead and read some of these so that we can. Yeah, it's definitely a shadow. Good point, Tiger. Yeah, that people feel cheated. That's right, Julie. The Israeli energy company, I don't know anything about that. It just looks like he basically had a free ride. I mean, maybe he didn't have a free ride, but it looked like they knew everything and they let him do whatever he wanted to do because he was basically an informant. So they left him alone. He was an informant, but he was also a horrible, he was doing horrible things. Energetically, something interesting has been going on with me, though, and that is that the last couple of days when I meditate, there's been a feeling of a kind of peace or comfort that's kind of descending on the country. I don't know if any of the other readers, any of the other remote viewers are picking this up. That some kind of battle's been waged, and this is the calm. In plain words, it feels like the battle's been waged, the battle's been won, the funeral has happened, and now we're all having a good cry. That's energetically how it feels to me when I meditate. I don't know how to interpret that other than to say that I just feel that there's a feeling that good has triumphed over evil. That's the best way to describe it. Sore, it was a sore that festered for too long. Hi, Susan from Port Townsend, near my hometown. That's true. Hi, Rohan. How do people feel about the remote views? Anything you'd like to change? I've had mixed feedback, so I'm open to hearing feedback from people. Sleepy and low energy. My energy has been sleepy because I'm working 2 jobs and running around. So I did take 1 or 2 days off, but yeah, that's true. So people want me to check on, just go ahead and tell me what you want the Tarot Blitzes to be. People want me to do Putin. Okay, access Putin's information. I can do that to the best of my ability. I'll try. Anything else people want me to look at today? There was also some feedback that people didn't like the fact that I said that Lindsey Graham is my favorite person to go into. So let me just say that in this dimension, politics and policies, I can see why people don't like certain people's politics or certain people's policies. But when I would do the heart-centered meditation and I'm kind of connecting my heart with other people, I do enjoy the feeling of certain people's energy more than others. And yeah, when I'm cuddling with Lindsey Graham, he's like a teddy bear in the energetic field. He has a big heart. How he translates and acts it out with policy, and very emotional, very sensitive, thinks everyone should be polite and not be cruel. He can't, he's highly sensitive. Now you look at his policies in the world, think, why did you do that? Or, I don't understand your policies. I get that. But when I talk about a heart-centered connection, I'm just how I feel when I'm in the person's heart. So that's a different type of intimacy than saying you like someone's public policy or something like that. All right. I think let's go ahead and do that. Let's Ghislaine Maxwell. Do people want me to try and see where she's at, or if she's? Oh, and then you want to know if Lindsey Graham is being blackmailed? I can do that. Anything else? What events are coming? Yeah, we can try and look at that. Yeah, Lindsay raised his sisters. He was a mother hen. That's right, and that's when I go deep, deep, deep into his vulnerable parts. I get that mothering hen that he's very maternal because he's had to develop that probably because he had to raise his sister. But um, yeah, the other feedback is people were confused about the last night's video that I did where I talked about the experience, what it's like to be me. That wasn't a remote view. That was reflections. That was me talking about, reflecting back on some of my experiences. So I think there was some confusion. This is casual. No, it's not a casual remote view. It's a conversation about what it feels like. So there was a little bit of confusion about that. People are exhausted. And sometimes you get asked to go to really dark and depressing places, and then people get upset. For example, if I go into the energy of somebody who is, if people say, well, go into Trump's energy, and then I go in and I say, well, I feel vulnerable and scared and I'm over medicated. And then other people will respond and say, well, what about the children? Okay, well, I'll go in and take a look at the migrants. So I go in and I look at the migrants and I see some horrific image, and then people say, oh, you're being dark. The reader can't win. If you want me to look at things from the perspective of the victim, I can do that, but it's very, very disturbing sometimes. And if you're trying to just look, we can do the remotes and then be completely unfiltered and then go back and rip the remotes apart. I think that's probably a good idea. It's like Russian propaganda. It doesn't bother me when I start getting it. I kind of chuckle to myself and write it down. But then you have to kind of step back and say, well, what is the function of this? An example of that would be when when I kept following the energy and I kept winding up and wandering around Mongolia, and then I would follow the energy and wind up back in Mongolia. I thought, wow, this is great. I keep going to Mongolia. Why is Bolton in Mongolia? So it's not like I have a personal opinion. It's not like I have a personal opinion, even though I've always wanted to go to Mongolia. It's just that when I follow the energy, I go to Mongolia. And then if I keep fixating, if I keep remote viewing, when I'm in Mongolia, I get pulled to the Northeast. So if I get pulled to the Northeast, oh, there's some kind of activity going on in the Northeast, and Russia. You're just giving feedback, and then it's our job to kind of say, well, what is that all about? All right. I have some control in the sense, Julie asked about control. If you folks tell me, go in and take a look at that energy, and I just let myself fly and get carried, it feels like I'm flying to the energy, and then I'm hovering around it, and I say, whoa, I see military activity in Northeast Mongolia. It looks like there's some troop movements. That's why they want to go in. And I come out and review it, and people start yelling at me. It kind of defeats the purpose. Like, I can't believe you did that. Are you a Russian operative? It's like, what do you folks want? Oh, I think you're being biased. Okay, let's analyze the bias. How did I screw up? Let's make it better. It is what it is. Pamela wants to know about racism and if it will ever stop. Yes, it'll stop. I think it will stop when we start boycotting companies and filmmakers that depict people of color as racist stereotypes and then export it to other countries, which is what happened in Russia. We were taking TV shows from the 70s and 80s that were unbelievably racist, like Magnum PI, Beretta, etc. And then we were exporting it to other countries so that people in other countries who had never even, you know, met African Americans, were now frightened of people of color because they'd been watching American TV. So I think we have a moral responsibility. We can start when we should start looking for it in our media. We should start looking for it in our advertisers and holding them accountable and stop purchasing products. Yeah, I think that is the power of the people. You can see the boycott that's happening right now in Fox News, right? People are just de-investing. We talked about that because we talked about the fact that I did a remote where I followed the energy and I said, wow, Fox is going to dump this president because energetically I see, the de-investing is starting to happen. The investors want to go back to friendly programming. They're tired of people not buying their Jimmy Dean sausages or whatever it is that they're advertising. And they just want to get back to happy, positive things. So that's pretty much what's happening in Fox News. And I guess Scaramucci has now said he no longer supports the president. This is happening really fast now. So the original remote, I think we'll review that and then I'll go ahead and I'll start doing the Blitz. But the original remote, if you all remember the original remote, about a year and a half ago, was that he would be impeached in the House and they would achieve a 2/3 majority in the Senate. He would be given the honor of resigning before that happens. Now, Mary's Table, and she's quite good and I enjoy her readings quite a bit. She seems to have had a dream. Somebody had asked me to interpret the dream. It's her dream. I don't feel comfortable doing that. But other people are picking up what seems to suggest like Article 25. So that's interesting. Giuliani came and went, and I think Giuliani was the one negotiating. It looked like energetically he was negotiating a resignation, but he's now not talking. So we didn't get a resignation. We're now facing impeachment in the House. There's rising tide. A huge chunk, as Scaramucci said, of his base is an iceberg is coming off, most likely in the Senate. So if he still has a deal on the table to resign and maybe get immunity for Ivanka, which I believe was the deal as I saw it, and I make mistakes, but that's what it looked like, then he should take the deal if it's still on the table, because his goose is cooked, I think. Any other questions you folks want me to do? Because the Blitz is, I'll do the Blitz. I'll do whatever you folks want. No, Trump lost his base. He lost Scaramucci, and we've reached the majority of it for impeachment in the House. So, it's sad. I really was rooting for the president. I kept praying that he would be his best self, that he would have a kind of spiritual awakening, that he would bring on Garland. We were hoping that, come on, he's from New York, he used to be a Democrat. Wouldn't it have been great? He could have really been a good president. He could have been somebody who united the country. He could have had the Great Awakening. And that's why I don't believe you can, I don't personally believe you can read the future. You can just follow energy and see what the most likely outcome is going to be. And people have free choice. Amazing things can happen to people. They can have huge spiritual awakenings and completely change their karma. Modern Buddhism is not fatalistic at all. Modern Buddhism is about encouraging people to become happy by recognizing their higher self. Everybody has a higher self. This is the fundamental teachings of modern Buddhism. Everybody has a Buddha nature. It's just that some of us have a harder time accessing it than others. Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions here, so I want to make sure I get to them all. Somebody's asking about Sarah Huckabee Sanders and now after the White House Omarosa. What's up? Former staff. Okay, I'll try and see if I can get to former staff. Yeah, we all wanted him to have, I didn't, oh, Mila wants to join us. Hold on. You want to come join us? Yeah, I wasn't like hoping he would fail. No, I was hoping that he would become moderate and have an awakening and step up to the plate. And it was depressing when that didn't happen. I heard Trump blame Clinton's. He did spread a rumor, and I know different people have had different feelings about the Epstein death. If you review how the energy felt to me, when I looked at Epstein, I think that he worked for the CIA. I think they gave him a free pass. I think they let him do whatever he wanted to do as long as he was informing and filling them in on what was going on. I think that he knew the day was going to come when his luck was going to run out. I think Ghislaine betrayed him. I think that that's what the cards and that's what the remote seemed to suggest, that she started handing over private information about him. And I think that eventually they cut the cord with him. I think they used him as an informant. And then when they couldn't use him anymore, they cut the cord. And can you all see my friend here? There she is. Yay! Yeah. Maybe I'll come down here so that everybody can see Mamila. Oh, no, she's leaving anyway. Oh, well, so much for that. Yeah, so what happened was that he knew the party was going to end. That's how it felt. He knew this party has come to an end. In terms of what might have happened when he was in Europe, he trusted Ghislaine Maxwell. He trusted her. And she knew where all the bodies were buried, and she probably knew where the tapes were for his own safety while he was handing over information probably to the CIA, to the Brits, and to anybody else so that he could continue doing these runs of people, drugs, and whatever, and money, while he was in the middle of all of this and was free to enjoy the high life. As long as he was informing, they left him alone. And then that came to an end. They shut down the entire operation. And one by one, everybody that he had collected dirt on is going to be thrown to the wolves. That's kind of what it looked like. And Ghislaine, who was the procurer for a lot of powerful people, has now, it would appear from these remotes, gone into deep hiding and has thrown herself on the mercy of the Queen. Yes, I did you a favor. I was an informant. I did this and this. You have to protect me. So now, if that's true, and if they're done with Trump, and if they've taken this investigation as far as they could take it, then that means that Ghislaine is going to has the information, tapes, etc., to incriminate Trump and to pull him out of the White House. If she is working with MI6, which I suspect she is, and with Israel and with the Americans, and she's in hiding, and she's protected, and she was procuring things for powerful, important people, that makes the most sense to me. Self-love, yeah. When we talk about vulnerability, we're not talking about vulnerable to attack. When we talk about vulnerability, what I mean is that if you're doing a heart-centered meditation and you've grounded yourself and you're safe, the natural wall that we all put up to have a boundary between myself and you, it has to some aspect of that has to come down so that I can feel or sense the heart connection of another person. If I'm guarded, I won't be able to do that kind of remote viewing. There are other types of remote viewing I could do. I can do the objective remote viewing where I just try to feel a mass of energy, like when I was doing the meditation on Mongolia, and I can actually feel density or movement, and then I'll say, you know what, that's just standard remote viewing. But if you're talking about heart-centered meditations, there comes a point in the meditation where you open your heart, right? And you allow yourself to feel what it is to be truly loved. So you're completely defenseless, while at the same time, another part of you has been protected because you ground yourself and you put yourself in white light protection. So you're protected and you're grounded like a plant to the earth. You're grounded to Mother Earth, so you're safe. And then your heart opens up and begins to connect and feel the outside world, the higher self, or the heart centers of other people. That's the best way for me to describe it. Does everybody get that now, what it's like for me? So I ground myself to Mother Earth, which is the source of all life and consciousness. And then I let myself be loved. So my heart opens up, and the heart has its own nervous system, which is separate from the brain, by the way. A great book to read if you're interested in this subject is called The Heart Speaks. Written by the cardiologist Mimi, I can't remember her last name, Mimi Kearney or something like that, Mimi. The Heart Speaks, but it has its own sensory perception separate from the brain, and it's making decisions about the outside world separate from the brain. And so in the meditation, I'm trying to be consciously aware of that. So I put myself in a grounded state. I'm safe, I'm protected. Then I open up the receptors or the sensitivity parts of the heart so that I'm now vulnerable. My heart is open to receive. We do this in our interpersonal relationships all the time. And then when I'm in that receptive place from the heart, I then try to feel and connect to another heart. In a place like that, yeah, I really do like Lindsey Graham. This is not the same Lindsey Graham, I should clarify, as the politician persona Lindsey Graham. Do people get that? The heart that I call Lindsey Graham, the heart and soul of that person is beautiful, but that's that is not the same as the personality politician Lindsey Graham. Does everybody get that they're different? All right, everybody. Great conversations. Mimi Garneri. Could it be? Yes. Thank you, sweetheart. Thanks, Lean. Okay, let's play. Let's have some fun. I want to lighten up the energy a little bit. Yes, we're going to save the planet because we are not the prefrontal frontal cortex. We are not the midbrain emotional limbic system. We are not the hindbrain reptilian complex. We are all three united, connecting together, which is what the meditative state is about, right? So that's the fourth brain. That's cooperation. That's what John Nash talked about. Mila, stop it. Mila wants to get into our bag. Hi, love. Last thing I want to talk about before we do the remote viewing is plant medicine. People said, oh, I smoke too much marijuana. Actually, there's so much more than marijuana. You don't have to smoke marijuana to remote view. This is one of the first things I want to talk to people about. This is valerian root. I'm just showing you this. This is will help you sleep. It's a sleep aid. It smells like dirty socks. I buy my organic roots. Mila, I guess, was grabbing the bag because she wanted me to remember to talk to y'all about this. It smells like dirty socks, but this is one of the herbs that I use in a strong tea. I use 1 to 2 teaspoons in a cup of boiling water, and I infuse it for 15 minutes. And this is one of the things that allows me to relax my muscles and be a little bit more calm when I'm trying to do a remote. And I drank a lot of cups of this, so I might have looked a little out of it and tired. So, but if you have arthritis and muscle pains, then valerian root can also be helpful. If you drink too much of it, though, you will start to get a little loopy. But yeah, it has benefits. It's a muscle relaxant and it has anxiety. Now, sometimes you can mix your herbs. I'm going to show you everything I have. This is another one that I will mix it with. This is white willow bark. You can see I've used a lot of it when I make my teas. And the reason I will add the white willow bark to the valerian is because it has salicylic acid, which is a type of aspirin. And so if you have chronic pain at night because of arthritis, a strain in the shoulders, very common in women postmenopausal, then adding a little bit of turmeric, ginger, or white willow bark can be helpful as well because it has the benefits similar to aspirin. So we have a benzodiazepine muscle relaxer we can use, and we can add something that has a kind of aspirin or anti-inflammatory. Next herb I want to talk to you about is Damiana. This plant smells so beautiful. Combines very well with valerian root. Is everybody able to take notes okay? Yes, Roxanne. Michelle is, yeah. I recognize that, yes. So Damiana, this is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, used by North American tribes for vision quest. It doesn't, if you smoke it, it doesn't last very long, and so it's better to drink it. It's not, they say it's a mild hallucinogen, also a mild muscle relaxant. It's also used, as you can see, Mila goes crazy. She just goes absolutely crazy for the herbs. I usually try to take them about an hour before the meditation, and I also let her smell them. And Mila, do you want to try this one? Yeah, come on, it's okay. Do you want to try the Damiana? So those are just some of those herbs. There are a couple others I want to show you. If you're trying to learn remote viewing, lavender is another one you can use. Lavender is an anti-anxiety. Don't use a lot of it. It's really, really strong. But again, if you're having trouble with heart-centered meditation because of anxiety, putting just a little bit of lavender will help you as well. Again, understand that plant medicine is just a way that helps us relax and come out of ego, out of a defensive state so that we can open our hearts. And you don't have to go to anything as strong as marijuana. These are natural herbs that are sold over the counter, and they just help you become more open and receptive. Hope everybody's having fun. Show and tell with Dr. Whimsy. Okay, I'm going to show you this one. This is Angelica root. This is one I like to give for women over the age of 40 if you're having hot flashes at night. See if there's anything else I can show you. Rhodiola, also rhodiola, balancing for hormones with women. Black cohosh is another one I use. And chamomile. I think I've used up all my chamomile. So I just wanted to show everybody that these are what we call the nervines, and also they're helpful with muscle pain, also anti-inflammatories. So those are the herbs, and there's more where those came from. Okay, let's go ahead and play. We're going to go ahead and move the cards, and we're going to go ahead, and the first thing people asked me to look at was Donald Trump, where he's at right now. I think that that's a great thing to read on. So let's go ahead and say our prayer, and let's go in. I want to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as I ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records of the people we're going to remote view today. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and wisdom needed to empower the people who watch this channel, that we make the best decisions for ourselves, for the people we love, for our families, and for the planet. And with that, I say amen. Okay. So we'll look at Trump first. How is Trump doing? How is Mr. Trump doing? Is he okay? Let's take a look. base of the matter for Trump. A strong position for somebody else. A strong position for somebody else, a male, possibly a fire sign. Some strong male energy is moving in. It could be a Leo. It could be a Sagittarius. It could be an Aries, but there's some strong male coming in with strong Leo aspects. Remember, this is the archetype also of the perfect judge, or as I like to call it, the Lion of Judah. You can see the lion symbolism in the background. Also here, the lion. It's also the perfect judge, Yehudit in Hebrew. So the perfect judge, or the strength, or the energy moving in, is one of perfect justice. The strong foundation of justice, the head of the tribe, the leader of the tribe. Where we are at right now, or the state of the nation, the wish card comes in. Three of Wands has been described as one of the wish cards. It's when you get what you want. It also has an aspect to it of entrepreneurship. He's waiting for his ships to come in. In terms of location, it's across the pond. He is across the pond, as they say. I look at the fact that he's standing east. So this is the card that I've used to describe the southeasterly direction. Or excuse me, the eastern direction. It can be along the eastern seaboard, looking across the pond to another land. So there's an aspect to this that's international, possibly across into Europe. It can also be the southeast to northeastern United States. And what crosses it? A celebration. So some kind of situation is happening where we get our wish. I'm going to come down here to make it easier for myself. Where we get our wish, and it has an international feel to it. I'm going to move the candle, blow it over here so we don't hurt ourselves. What is above us? Scholarship and knowledge. Some truth is coming out. Regarding money. Messages regarding money and the truth coming out. What we sit in. Some kind of an offer being given, and the end result is movement. This president may realize that the offers he was given, possibly from somebody. I know Mueller isn't a fire sign. It's as if an offer was already given. And as a consequence, there is movement. Here's Trump's card. The Ice King, blue ice with the sword, air sign male. What is around him? Somebody's in a position of power. The Magician card, which is the card of power coming into your own power, is in the 8th house. Somebody else has the power. The hope and the fear, the partnership, and then the final outcome, confusion. This president's been abandoned by the Republican Party and was given some kind of offer, and I just don't know how else to interpret this other than to say that there was an offer and that now it looks like the president may take that offer. And I'm not happy about how this turned out. I wish people could understand that the readers that saw this we're not happy. And this is not what we, just because we saw it doesn't mean we wanted it to happen. I'm sorry, you guys. I wish that our nation could have come together. I'll be honest. I'm pretty depressed about it. But just because, don't shoot the messenger. All right, so that's what I see. I think he's caught. I think he's going to have to resign. It's the same thing, only now it seems more inevitable. I think he's going to have to leave office very soon because we've already got enough votes in the House in the coming weeks. Within 3 weeks, we'll have enough. I'm going to go ahead and predict based on where the energy is moving. And I'm humble. I make mistakes, but I just have to tell you the energy as I see it without bias. In about 2 to 3 weeks, I think we'll have the majority in the House and probably be moving towards a majority in the Senate within 2 to 3 weeks, and probably 2/3, probably by October, even before October. So that doesn't give them a lot of time to make a deal. God, I feel horrible. I just feel horrible. This, what the whole country has gone through. I feel horrible. Okay, let's look at Putin. So unnecessary, so much unnecessary suffering. I just feel, oh God, I hate this. I hate it. All right, what's going on with Putin? I had predicted that Trump would be pulled out and Putin would become more aggressive. As Trump was being pulled out, Putin would be more aggressive and start to come in. Spirit, what can you tell us about Putin? How's he doing? Is he feeling cornered? Are we going to see more aggressive behavior from Putin? What a nightmare. A new beginning, going it alone. Hermit card is trying to review or look at a situation from a scholarly perspective, trying to look at things objectively, and a new beginning. There's a feeling of putting emotion aside and trying to be, objectivism, right? Let's be reasonable. That was his argument. But what he doesn't realize is his own bias and his own agenda. And so he's really not objective. He's not the person to be talking about being reasonable and being objective. This appears to have been a major money laundering scheme, and it involved the Russian mafia and contacts in Eastern Europe. And so certain people that they needed to get in, they took on as informants rather than throwing them in prison. They made a deal with them. That is the best way that I can interpret these cards. And so consequently, what happened was during that sting operation, some people got compromised. The people that got compromised that they're willing to protect, they're willing to protect. It appears that Ghislaine Maxwell told them where some of the tapes were hiding. She appears to have lied or told Epstein that he would be okay if he went back to the States and that he would be given protection and immunity. And then when he flew back to the United States, the deal was reneged and he was arrested and thrown in a horrible jail. Did somebody murder Epstein or did he commit suicide? I would argue that he attempted suicide and couldn't do it, and then somebody assisted him. That was how the energy looked. And so for Putin, there's this realization that it's rope-a-dope, that this was a long investigation. It went on for a very long time. They had informants that were pretty awful people. And now the investigation has pretty much come to an end and they're arresting people. And so we see Putin's cards are about going alone. The businessman, the business, he saw it as a business. The business is being shut down. So from Putin's perspective, he was a businessman. Let's be reasonable. The heartbreak of the business. He was trying to make money off of a business and then the business shut down. What is above him? The money. They got my money, honey. What about the business? What about us making money? It was just business. Contracts and deals regarding the money. Heartbreak is crossing the business deal. What sits in the back? Heartbreak. The sun coming out, or truth regarding business contacts. Where he is at, it's over. The Knight of Pentacles doesn't go anywhere. He surveys the situation. For now, I would say that Putin is on the defensive or has been blocked or stopped. And this is happening very quickly. The 8th house, the other, is in a position of power, the Ace of Wands. This is my senior deck. That's why, everything is straight up. Hopes and fears, being able to defend one's territory, being able to defend one's trade routes, right? The 7 of Wands. And what are the Chinese doing in Africa? They're creating new trade routes. It's all about the trade routes. I want to protect my territory, the 7 of Wands. I cannot defend against multiple attacks. And then the final outcome for Putin, he's not in charge anymore. The 2 of Pentacles would suggest that he's being tossed about, that he is no longer in charge. You can see the rocky waters in the back of this picture, and they've been tossed about and juggled. So there's a feeling like he's not totally in control. I'm going to go ahead and clarify for people. I think NATO won. This goes back to previous remotes I've done that talk about the extent to which this investigation went on for decades and involved Eastern Europe and informants that were not necessarily people that they liked, but that they worked with in order to get information about a long investigation. And he's not going to be able to work it out with NATO. This is something else that came up in the card chart. He's not going to work it out with NATO. NATO wants him gone. NATO's going to remove him. NATO is going to work to have what appears to be a revolution in... There are revolutions in China and in Russia, and I think NATO's going to win and that everything's going to be okay, to be honest with you. All right, how's everybody doing? People want me to look at Ghislaine. Is it Ghislaine? Is it Ghislaine? I can't. I thought it was a soft G. Oh, Ghislaine? Okay, I can do that. I'll do whatever people want. Just don't. I'm getting tired of being people yelling at the messenger, man. Bill Barr. Woo. Okay, let's do Ghislaine. We've got 12 minutes left. Okay, so we're gonna have to work fast here. She's the. I think she's the woman that's going to take Trump down. Boy, what a surprise that is, right? What do y'all think? Do you think it's Ghislaine Maxwell that's going to take Trump down? She saw everything. She knew where all the bodies were buried, and she throws herself at the mercy of MI6 and British intel. But that's why the British. Remember, we said the British were coming. Ghislaine, that naughty little minx. Dang. What do y'all think? Is that not crazy, 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 and horrifying? Okay, Spirit, let's go ahead and see about Ghislaine. You know, it's just crazy. Okay, Ghislaine Maxwell. Spirit, what can you tell us about Ghislaine Maxwell? Is she okay? Is she in hiding? Is she being protected by Britain, Israel? I think she's in Britain. I don't think she's in the States. And I think that she's cooperating with, I think she's been working with British intelligence. That's what I think. Ghislaine, she's going back to the past. There's a transformation happening for her, and you can see a Six of Cups moving in, which is to go back to one's childhood or go back to something from the past, old connections, right? Old connections, old bonds, old commitments. Six of Cups, also been called the soulmates card. It's going back to things from childhood or innocence, or and also a transformation. So she has gone back to the familiar. She has gone back to her old stomping grounds. I really feel she is the one that sold Epstein out. She is the one that got him to fly back to the States. She is the one that convinced him he had a deal. She is the one that ultimately had to betray him. She is the one that ultimately will put an end to all of this. She is the one that knows where all the tapes are. She is the one that knows how to access the tapes. And she is the one up against the wall that has no other choice. She is completely devastated. Defending her territory. She doesn't have a choice about what questions to answer or what questions not to answer. There is a part of her that feels genuine sorrow about the death of Epstein. There's a judgment coming. There is some karma coming for her, some judgment coming for her, what she sits in, something she let go of. She had to let something go regarding a former partnership. You can see these cards here, the Hanged Man in the third house. A judgment comes in, action, reaction, that forces her to hang something up regarding a former commitment. And the near future, something in the grave, something dies, something ends. To be as samadhi, to be as still as death. You're not going to hear a peep out of her right now because of an upcoming karmic judgment. And where she is at right now, she is assisting. She is assisting the investigation. You can see here, she's in a place of the benefactor. She's the one supplying the information. What is around her, others are grieving or letting go of what they lost information. Perhaps the grief over Epstein, the hope and the fear that she will not be taken care of financially. This is a big issue for Ghislaine Maxwell that has come up in the past. This fear that she will lose money or lose her financial standing or lose her reputation, which is extremely important to her. And then the final outcome, the harvesting of the money. There seems to be some concern that she will lose some of the wealth or money that she acquired when she did this kind of work. And the clarification, a new contract is coming in August, and she's going to be traveling back to the States to testify or speak, probably with American intelligence. You can see the chair, this keeps coming up also. She's coming back to the States, so she's going to cooperate, and she will be able to retain some of her money. That it keeps saying that also. You can see a new contract or new deal coming in. So I think she's made a deal. I think that she betrayed him. I think that she's coming back to the States soon, possibly as early as next week, this week or next week. It's very soon, and she's cooperating, and this was a very long investigation. That's how it looks. That's the best way for me to interpret these cards. All right, people asked if I would look at Bill Barr now, so we'll go ahead and look at Bill Barr. You know, it's weird. I get mixed feelings with Bill Barr. There's a part of him that saw the bigger investigation. And if Trump was involved, and I'm not saying he was, but if Trump was involved and if the Trump modeling agency was somehow involved in human trafficking, prostitution, drugs, money laundering, etc., and they've already completed the investigation, then they can start throwing people to the wolves. Right? Starting with Epstein. He served his function. He had his fun. We let you ride this horse for 30 years. We knew what you were doing. We knew you were a reptile. We let you do it while we collected all this data because he had gotten very deep into various different criminal activities, and then they had access to it all. And then when it was all over, he was taken out. This is what it looks like. I'm not claiming I'm right, but this is how I interpret it. And Ghislaine Maxwell saved herself and flipped and is now under the protection of the British and will probably be coming back to the States in another week or two. I feel like to some extent, they're going to start telling the American people some of what was happening. Hey, cat, you want to play with the herbs? Play with them up here. Sorry. She likes the way they smell. All right, what is going on with Bill Barr? What is going on with Bill Barr? All right, where he's at right now. What do we always hear from Bill Barr when we try to remote view him? He says, I wish you'd leave me alone and let me do my job. And that is what we see here. Seven of Pentacles moving in as his base card. The master at his craft, pounding away. I'm bored. I don't want to answer your questions. Things are getting better. Rest assured, things are getting better. Six of Swords moving in next to him. He said, this too shall pass. I came here to land the plane, and that's what I'm doing. Let me do my job. Leave me alone, right? So if his job was to come in and land the plane and handle this arrest and shut down all this money and corruption, etc., it would explain why the readers keep getting confused and wandering around in a state of confusion when we try to look at Bill Barr. Because this is what we keep getting, Seven of Pentacles. Let me do my job, pound. You'll know what I know in a very short amount of time. All you need to know from Bill Barr at this time is that the waters are smoothing. Where he is at, watching the money, watching how the money is harvested and examining. They are going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and the Justice Department did follow the money. You can see here, Four of Pentacles. Look at that. Examining under a microscope this harvesting of money. They did follow the money. There's a crash coming in the house. So something is going to happen. This is so bad, I can't even imagine the president returning back to the White House. There's a tower in the fourth house. This is the state of the house. This is really, can you believe we're living through this? No offer. It's about an offer. It's about the president and an offer. He wouldn't take the offer. Giuliani tried to organize an offer. They wouldn't take the offer. He rejected, hired 17 lawyers, and then all of a sudden Barr shows up and says, I'll land the plane. It's almost as if they tried to get him to resign. He wouldn't resign. They showed him all the evidence, and he still wouldn't resign. They offered to get his daughter off. He still wouldn't resign. And when they had their hands up in the air, and Mitch McConnell and everybody who was saying, you know what, let's slowly eliminate, let's have a Pence presidency because we can work with him, he still wouldn't resign. And then at that point, Barr comes in and says, I'll land the plane. These are all conservatives. It's not like you're going to get them to be Democrats. They're not Democrats. They're conservatives. But that's what the cards look like. Here's the offer again. And here's the crash. The karmic wheel, it's over. The offer. The hope and the fear. A new beginning, a celebration. There's Trump's cards, damn. Negotiating an offer with people who may not agree with you. Hopes and fears, rocky waters ahead. Ace of Swords, victory over. Trump's card, I don't know what that means. If Trump would be victorious or if Barr would be victorious with Trump. Or if the issue is to get a deal, then he will be victorious in getting Trump to take the deal rather than Trump being victorious because the eighth house, and the karma is about whether or not a deal will be made, a healing will be made. All right. Do we have time for a couple more? We're at the hour. I guess do people want us to finish, or is there some stuff that we didn't get to that people need to get to? Did all the main questions get answered? Should we close now, or one or two should keep going? Are we done? The economy. Okay, yeah, let's do the economy and then we'll call it a day. How's that sound, people? How is the economy going to be? We'll try and go forward 6 months. I just pray for everybody in DC. I just pray that good triumphs over evil. I never wanted anybody to be impeached or pulled out of office. I'm not a vindictive person. I wish that our country could have come together. That's honestly what I felt. But fortunately, that's not what's happening. Spirit, can you tell us a little bit about the economy? All the needless suffering that have happened the last 2-3 years. There's some grief. There's going to be some rocky roads. You can see the 5 of Cups moving in. We're going to lose some stuff, but you can see there's a nice 4 of Wands moving in. So it'll be a hiccup, but I think we can come out of it. The Wish card is here, crossing. There are people that are really working to strengthen the economy. Harvesting the coin and what we sit in, 10 of Pentacles. There are people that, yes, I know you want to play with the herbs. I like the herbs too. She loves the way they smell, don't you, Mila? You want to play with them? You want to play with them? Go ahead. Okay, so going back, defending territory regarding old contracts. There's a new contract coming in with the coin, hopes and fears, and then the final outcome. I think it's, if there might be a slowing down of the economy, but there are all hands on deck. It feels like all hands on deck. There's a nice wish card as the first card. So even if things get to be a little difficult, I think that there are people in positions. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. As it stands now, we're going to come out of this. You can see a nice 9 of Pentacles there. All right, we have gone past the hour. We have talked about everything. You know what? I did a remote viewing last night where I was just meditating on my own stuff, and it is sometimes frustrating when people misunderstand what I'm trying to do here, or I'm trying to take that meditation that I did on Hillary Clinton personally. I just got to do my job to the best of my ability. And if I'm misunderstood, I can clarify it to the best of my ability. We're all just human, and I'm just doing my best. And I'm all open to feedback if people are not happy with a reading, or if the subject matter is dark, or, I'm open-minded, but, I'm doing my best. Be well, everybody. If you're still trying to get in for a reading this week, yes, I do have openings, and I would love to see you for a phone reading. If you're in the West Hollywood area, absolutely come by the offices, and I would love to give you a reading. If you'd like to find out about my work as a naturopathic doctor, herbalist, natural medicine, all that good stuff, I do see patients via telemedicine, and I would love to help you. as well. All right. Thanks for watching, and you're very welcome, and love and light to everyone. Thanks for the ongoing support. Yes, the herb Damiana. I did a little too much last night, but it doesn't last long. It like wears off after about 20 minutes. Peace out, and we will see you again. Bye-bye. Cheers.